Okay. Good morning. Welcome. Commissioner Rippon, appearing telephonically, do you want to start us off?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to make Commissioner Cook our chief today here, so I'll make that motion for him to be the chair for this meeting because I've got kind of a bad connection here, but I think it'd be much easier and smoother for this meeting if we have Commissioner Cook running the meeting.
Okay, I'll second
So
that.
that's a motion.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Passes 3-0. So,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, our first item, we have several presentations this morning about a lot of things that we're doing in the community. And I believe that, Madam Clerk, our first presentation.
Okay, the proclamations presentations. Number 1, Vallejo Behavioral Health Care Update. Bill Persinger.
Morning, Commissioners, members of the audience. If I can, is it okay to remove this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I have to wait about 5 minutes for my glasses to unfold. The first thing that Governing Board Chairman Dick Klein and I would like to do, and I don't know if we have any other Vallejo folks out in the audience from the board, we want to thank the county, your staff, and the taxpayers for the increase in mental health funding that we'll experience in 2021. The state has gotten on board. You folks were early adopters of support for mental health, and we just can't say thank you enough. So we want to go on record. Thank you, all three of you. I might refer you to the written report that I put on your desk there, and also one that was sent in early. I hope you've had a chance to review it. And we'll just take a few minutes here and run through what really isn't a quarterly report, but it's been a little bit since I've been in here, so we try to get in here 4 or 5 times a year and keep you posted on how things are going. There's a couple of pages of narrative, unless you have my version, which is the 16 font because of where I have to look at now that I've turned 65. So also our financial report is attached, and I'm not sure that we got that on there when we sent it in via email, but it is there for your review. And so I'll just kind of start with where Vallejo is as of today. The main number is open. We're taking calls 24/7. People can walk in per usual with any level of problem from the routine to the crisis, and we're there doing business as we have been all along. The demand for service is trending back upwards towards the pre-pandemic level. Like a lot of healthcare and other businesses, things slowed down in terms of people coming in, and now that is creeping back up to where it was back in March. Of course, we've compensated for face-to-face visits with a lot of telephone care and televideo care, especially our prescribing services and other things, but just some things you can't do in person. So our detox program, residential programs, all those are open and functioning. Things are going pretty well. Most of the staff are working at our offices or out in the community per usual, per normal, with all kinds of staff education, masks, distancing requirements, how we use our vans, where people can sit, that kind of thing. So we're trying very hard, like everyone else, to get back to normal in terms of how we do business, but there are just some things we've had to adapt to. But thank goodness for telephone and televideo-based therapy, and for the Department of Health and Environment for approving those to be billed by Medicaid. Medicaid, as you recall, is pretty much to us what Medicare is to a hospital. It's our lifeline, something like 55% of all of our revenue, and probably 75 or 80% of our fee revenue. So we're grateful for that support as well. So you want to run down anything else here? Just doing a lot of community collaboration with our partners. I want to give you a quick review of our grants, and also a grant that we just found out recently from Cox Communications that will allow us to have a text-based counseling process for about 125 people. It's a national model, it's a best practice, and so just another way to reach out to people who maybe can't get out or aren't just ready to get out, and also address people who are at high risk. The financial statement is attached. I might say that we had a decent month in August, and trying to hold our own And so we're just, thanks to a lot of support, including the Paycheck Protection Program, which did save jobs and save paychecks, and folks getting on board and helping out mental health, we're holding our own. We don't know how things are going to look after October or going into the future. 2 or 3 of the programs that tend to drive a lot of our revenue, we've had to downsize by about half, and so we are feeling that pinch. But we've got a plan to move forward when we need to do that. Might just mention a few of the grants we've received. Blue Cross and Blue Shield Foundation of Kansas, Evergy, BOK, Dillon's, United Way, the Rotary Foundation. Particularly that Rotary Foundation, Rotary International grant will serve 125 families or so. We'll pack bags full of PPE and other items that they may need. So hats off to the Rotary Foundation, Maxine and Jack Zero Foundation out of Oklahoma, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, and the Walmart Community Giving Program. So we did cancel our fundraiser this year. We didn't think it wise to get 350 people in the same room. And so we're just trying to compensate in every way we can. I do want to mention Chef Adam at the White Linen, who stepped up with his annual fundraiser for Vallejo. So you can call down there. I believe it's October 12 through 17, and we sure ask you folks in the community to support that. And also want to mention the Pennant and Dr. Julie Swift have also held fundraisers for the Mental Health Center. In terms of public policy, we were hoping for about 2.5% increases in our Medicaid revenue. I don't know that that's going to happen. That would have been another, $250,000 probably for Vallejo for doing what we do now. We were hoping for a 2% increase or so in our base grants. Not sure that's going to happen. That would have been another $180,000, $200,000. So we'll wait and see going forward how those fiscal 21 items that were approved by the legislature and signed into law will go for us in the future. But still hoping for a Medicaid expansion, so we've got those kind of public policy things on the list that we've had all along. With that, I'll stop for questions, or if Chairman Klein has anything to add.
Bill, 2 things. I note that you are still operating at a deficit right now.
We are.
But it's not as big as we've seen in the past. So I suspect that part of that is due to cuts that you've had to make at Vallejo in order to make sure that that deficit does not grow bigger.
Yeah, we haven't actually laid anybody off, but we have tried to be careful about the amount of services that we render, and particularly to the uninsured. Try to watch that pretty closely, and get people in, get them what they need, and then discharge them and open the door for when they need to come back. And so we've just managed to keep our head above water. We'll have to wait to see after the PPP runs out how that all goes, and the demand for 2 or 3 of our high revenue producing programs we've had to downsize and keep downsized because of the virus. So I don't know how it's going to. It could have a negative effect on revenue going forward. But if we can shore the other side up with grant money, including the increase you folks gave us, so we're just got our eyes toward a little brighter future, perhaps. So we'll have to wait and see.
So are there programs that you've had to cut back or completely stop during this pandemic time? And what are those programs, and what would you see us moving forward to add to those back into what you do?
So the Medicaid program, our Medicaid revenue line item, we've lost around $1 million. It was down as much as 35% there for a few weeks, and it gradually has climbed back up to where we're behind about a -9%, which is quite a bit of money for us out of our $8-9 million Medicaid billings each year. We did completely shut down for about 2 months, 2.5 months, our detox and all of our alcohol and drug programs, except for the outpatient counseling, which we did by telephone and televideo. That cost us pretty dearly. And that program is back up. All those alcohol and drug programs, the treatment programs where people are with us every day, are back up and running, but only about half speed. And so we're very careful to make sure that we create a safe environment. The only way to do that is cut the population by about half. We haven't been accepting very many new folks into our residential treatment, or in our residential programs, our group homes, if you will, our congregate living, just to keep things safe. And that's affected revenue as well. And in terms of complete shutdowns, that's about what we've done. We did downsize our 24-hour crisis facility at 400 Southwest Oakley by half. We have 1 person to a room now instead of 2. That's greatly affected revenue as well. Fortunately, the state of Kansas has stepped up and helped us with an ongoing grant that they've approved. It didn't increase, but it stayed the same, and it was taking care of quite a few of the needs of the uninsured in that program. So Yeah, we had to send some people home, but thanks to the Paycheck Protection Program, we were able to continue their pay and bring them back on slowly and keep them on board. So that's the major way we got hit, Commissioner.
I guess
The
I
loss
always
of
go
Medicaid
back
revenue.
to, when we look at mental health in Shawnee County, if a mentally ill person winds up being incarcerated, it's costing us in excess of $300 a day. Whereas if we are able to get that person services, one, they're not incarcerated, and two, maybe their crime did not get committed that would have caused them to be incarcerated, and then three, the cost of care is less than what it costs for Shawnee County. So it's a win-win-win.
Yep, right. So, one of the things we had to stop doing was our addictions counseling staff member at the correctional facility. Director Cole made a good call there in keeping unnecessary kind of services, not unnecessary, but services that weren't necessary to confinement and control and those kind of things. So, but where we've really seen a positive gain is with the co-responder program. I want to take a minute to thank the City Council and particularly Sergeant Clam and Chief Cochran for the city stepping up and funding most of that program going forward. That's where we're able to put a mental health worker on the street with a policeman nearly 24 hours a day. And so the numbers are running about 8, 10, 12, 15 people a month that we've encountered who we think, had that program not existed, would have gone to jail. And if they had only stayed 5 days at, Director, probably 300, 350 a day, something like that, we think we've avoided that expense and saved quite a bit of money. And we have reported on that statistic in the past. I didn't put it in here. Going to want to wait till next month to get a few more. That program typically serves anywhere from 900 to 1,500 people a year. But thanks to the city, thanks to a boost from you folks, and thanks to the Sheriff's Department as well, we're able to keep that program going. But it is one of those programs, Commissioner, that diverts people away from jail and gets them into housing, helps them find work, psychiatric treatment, reunite with families, that kind of thing. But so far the hits we've taken in terms of slowdowns and closures have been just a slowdown in people coming in to see us has affected revenue. That's starting to pick back up to where we're almost near the pre-pandemic levels. But the closure of the alcohol and drug treatment program and the slowdowns, the going from 2 people to 1 per room in our crisis program and our residential programs have stung pretty badly as well. But we're sure hoping for a brighter future.
Commissioner Mays, do you have any questions or?
No, I just thanks Bill for presenting today and for all the work you guys do to help our community. I know that's it's not an easy job, especially when you're always short on cash. And I think you guys are doing a great job, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank
Have a great day. And
Commissioner Rippon, do you have any questions?
sorry.
No, I don't.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, gentlemen. Take care.
Madam Clerk, our next presentation.
Item 2, Stormont Vale Event Center Progress Update, McCowan Gordon Construction.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Kraus, Shawnee County Councilor. We thought it would be a good day to provide a presentation update on this project, and it seems like we're not alone in providing presentations for the Commission this morning. I'll specifically introduce Todd Ramsey and John Armour. I know they both will be talking about this project specifically, but we've got a lot of other people in the room. I'm not going to make you stand up, but raise your hand if you are with HTK or Spectra. We've got a lot of people in the room related to this project. We're excited about it, excited to give you a progress report this morning. Thank you.
Again, permission to take off?
Absolutely.
Fogging up too. Good morning, Commissioners. Todd Ramsey, McCown Gordon Construction. Appreciate the opportunity to come in and give an update on this exciting project. I think we were back here in December or January and gave kind of our first update. So I'd kind of like to tell you how the project's going and give you an update. All right, so what I want to do, I want to kind of, since there's so many buildings we're working on at the facility, on the Stormont Vale Event Center, I want to start out with Landon Arena. Of course, some things that we have done and working on and working to completion. But the first one you can see here, the picture, is all the new scoreboard is up. The center hung scoreboard, new ribbon boards are installed and completed. All new sound system is completed. It has been commissioned and turned over to Spectra for their use. I would say if you get a chance to go in there and take a look at it, it's amazing. The sound is very loud and very clear too, so very nice. The next picture I wanted to give you an update on, I believe we did show you a picture of this back in December and January. This is the new end zone bar area where we completely tore out seats and built all new bar area. But you've seen this, but what I wanted to show you was the ceiling element that really kind of finishes off that space, to really shows and highlights that space. That was done back in January, that ceiling area, but we did have this entire bar area turned over to them before last November at their big demo derby event. So I just wanted to give you a progress photo of that. So then the next one we're going to go to is the main entry expansion on Landon Arena, where we're planning on having that done by the end of this year. And this just kind of shows you an overall picture of course, the main addition. As you can see, everything that you see open right here, that's all glass. That's all storefront glass. We're actually starting to put frames in there this week, and glass will come about 6 weeks after that. You can also see the new escalator is installed. It's completely covered up with the new main staircase. So the roofing, we started the roofing last week. This all roofing will be completed by the end of this week, if not next week at the latest, to be completely tied into the new building addition. So that just gives a kind of a shot of what the new addition will look like. And then this is just one interior shot I was telling you. You enter in now on the grade level. You go up the stairs, R2 the escalator to get up to the concourse level. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, we're just able to start this last week. So this, of course, is on the south elevation of the existing building. And you'll see we are reskinning the entire Landon Arena and existing expo with the new gray sheet metal panels that will match the panels we have already installed. I'll show you a picture on the Expo Hall edition that will really clean it up and really look like an entire one project. So excited to get that portion started. And this is scheduled to be done. This will be probably about the last thing we have left to do. It'll be, we have it scheduled for April of next year. So that'll be the last thing we really have left to finish up. We're trying to get it done sooner, of course. Next couple slides, I just kind of wanted to show you the Expo Hall building addition. We were able to turn that over and give that to Spectra to use in August of this year. They actually did have their first event held on August 12th, a dog show. So we're happy to them to use that new space already. This just kind of gives you a shot on the outside. This will be on your west elevation. You can kind of see how we kind of have built the building in between. Of course, this is the existing Expo Hall. This is the link to Manor Hall and to the Capitol Plaza Hotel. So you can see this is all the new addition. Of course, these are the gray metal wall panels that will match throughout the entire facility as we move around. And then these next are a couple shots inside. This is standing in the existing Expo Hall, looking all the way down now into the new addition. Roughly, it was about a little over 35,000 square feet of new Expo's floor space arena for their use. We've also, over here on the right or the east side, we're doing a lot of renovations already now. This is a big new concession area with all new restrooms and everything that the restrooms we have turned over to them too. So that just gives you a shot now looking into the new addition of that. And then this is just one more shot as you exit out of the west elevation there with the big new overhead door where they can get a lot more larger equipment in and out instead of trying to get in on the other side of Expo Hall or going through Landon.
Todd,
Yes.
this exhibition hall expansion, this nearly doubles the size of the exhibition hall.
Pretty much, right, Kellen? Pretty much. Just shy of it a little bit, yeah.
That puts it at just a little over or right at 100,000 square feet.
I believe so, Kellen.
Yeah, so for exhibition hall proper.
Sorry. They can't hear you back there, Kellen.
Yeah, good morning. Kellen Seitz, Spectre Venue Management, Stormont Vail Event Center. Formerly, before the expansion, the exhibition hall was sitting at about 44,500 square feet. With the addition, this puts us closer to 78,000 square feet, and with, in addition to Landon Arena at approximately 22,000 square feet, we're just shy of 100,000 square foot of total flat floor exhibition type space.
What is the impact of that when we get out of the pandemic towards trade shows and exhibitions?
Yeah, significant impact to expanding the depth of the types of conventions, trade shows, exhibition type flat floor content that we can produce inside the space. What we've seen over the number of years that we've been here is that on some of the larger bids that we've worked in conjunction with, Visit Topeka or Greater Topeka Partnership on, we were lacking the amount of square footage that they needed for flat floor space. So increasing our, ability to produce that type of content is significant. It also increases our ability to separate the content that we currently have on the calendar and identify the exact space to produce that content in, so we can utilize the other space to produce additional content where we hadn't been able to do that in the past.
So are we actively going out and trying to recruit back those trade shows and conferences that we had lost to other communities?
Yep.
Since they operate on a 3 to 4 year contract basis?
They do, yeah. Those are very long lead time bid process for some of that content. What we did to help with that is we actually restructured one of our internal departments, hired out a convention and sales manager that works directly both with the Capitol Plaza Hotel and the Manor Conference Center, as well as Visit Topeka and GTP to source and bid on that type of content, further bolstering our event activity in the years to come.
Thank you. I mean, those are kind of key things towards revenue generating and also for impact on the community.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Thank you. Sorry, Todd.
Oh, no problem. A couple other quick pictures I wanted to give you an update on. Of course, that's Expo Hall. But a couple other ones, also we've been doing our work in Domer Arena, all the equine arenas. Actually, we have completed already all the work in those areas. The only really thing we have left is dropping some additional power cords in the stall barn area. But we put all new lights, fans, and power cord drops in Domer, painted the exposed roof structure, put in new retractable bleachers, and then also we just completed last month the new western drop-off area, Western Avenue, on the west side of the equine. So let me show you a couple of those pictures. This is now looking, of course, inside Domer Arena. We've completely cleaned and repainted this entire roof structure, all new LED lighting, the big fans in there for circulation. We also put all new big fans in the stall barn and the warm-up barn. So really refreshed that area. This is just one exterior that is a little different. If you do recall, the east elevation of the stall barn, that was always open. Now we closed it up. And so now it's closed a little bit to the environment a little bit, but there is those big fans in there with all new lighting to move a lot of air in there. And then the last picture I'd like to show, just to show you the Western Avenue. We've completed all this now where they can bring horse trailers in and out and load in and load out. It really helps Spectre, especially here the last couple of weeks with the big horse shows that they've been having, to let them a little additional drop-off area there.
That'll be really great once the city is able to finish Western, and so I know that's currently under construction and renovation
Correct.
as well.
Yeah, and I think they're getting pretty close to the city contractors, getting pretty close to turn that over. I think they're allowing them to use that, so that was big for Spectre. The last picture I just wanted to show, because I knew this was always we heard a lot of comments, was the parking lot. So we have completed, all the parking lots throughout the entire facility have been completed. All the new light poles are installed. The only really main area that we have left to complete is the main road in front of the Landon addition, which of course we're not going to do that until we're done with the construction later this year with Landon Arena. So I just wanted to kind of give you some aerial shots so you can see. This is completely completely milled overlay or any soft areas we've took out and put with new compacted backfill, and really clean this and dress this area up. And this is our laydown area here that we have storing materials, but of course we will take that out and pave that once we leave. But really just the main road across right in front of here is left to asphalt right there. All the new Domer lot that is milled and overlay and also completed. Of course, you can see all the new LED light poles that really clean up. You can just see the cleaner light and everything throughout the facility. And then this is just one other shot, just showing you closer to the building with the parking lot. There's our lay down, and then just this road right here. So, is there any questions as far as kind of status update? Then I'll turn it over to John, just to give you a quick update for financially.
Todd, I know it's hard to get excited about a parking lot, but
Yeah.
man, that parking lot is so much better than what was there.
It is. It's. I was glad we were able to get it all done actually early to help everybody out as far as events with Spectre and everybody with the county. So yeah, that was a big one for everybody to get that already done and completed.
And not only is the condition of the parking lot better, but it's nice to have striped parking stalls now, because it was sort of a free-for-all before. One of the things I also wanted to just comment on is the exhibition hall. Not only is it bigger, but it's far more functional now with the addition of the new bathrooms and the new concession area and everything. The flow of the events will be a lot better. It seems like with the old layout, it was kind of an L shape, and there was that area back there, which I think the vendors didn't get quite the traffic that they wanted, and so it's not only is it going to be bigger, but it'll be better as well.
Agreed.
Todd, I know that we're working with a 33-year-old building and renovating it. We're looking at, some ground conditions as we move around, and sometimes you find surprises. Have we found any surprises or anything that kind of caught us off guard or things that we didn't anticipate?
That's a great question. Exactly. Anytime you get into existing buildings, you just don't know what you may run into. However, we are, for the most part, on the interior of Landon and Expo, those renovations works are pretty much complete. We're done with all of those. We have one concession areas to complete in the concourse area, but we really have not ran into a whole lot of gotchas. The one thing here is when we're tying in this new building addition to the existing main entrance there, we knew we were going to have some existing structural conditions, but anything major that we were. So the good news is, for the most part, we haven't really ran into a lot of those big problems that you may run into on renovation projects. So that's been a good thing to see.
And our timeline, are we ahead of timeline, on time, behind schedule?
We're actually a little ahead of schedule.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, because especially those renovations that we have already completed in Landon and the Expo, we actually weren't even going to schedule to start some of that work till this fall, and now we're actually going to be turning it over here. If not, we've already turned over others. In the parking lot, we weren't even going to try to start some of that or finish some of that till later this year. Well, now we've got, for the most part of it, completed. So that's been some more good news. I'd say we're ahead of schedule.
That's great news.
So, is there anything else? I'll turn it over to John Armour real quick. Just give you a quick update on some financial.
Aaron, Commissioner Mays or Commissioner Rippon, anything?
Well, just say I'm excited for the project. I can't wait for it to be completed. What's been done so far has been great. The parking lot looks really nice. The new exhibition center is absolutely huge, and the new sound system lighting, it's all good. So I'm just excited about the whole project. So that's it. No questions.
Thank you.
Well, I think there's also a couple features that you guys didn't talk about as well. There's the new mother's room that was added. There's going to be a craft beer garden that's being added as well. I mean, the concourse is expanded in many ways, and so the experience you get going to the new Stormont-Vail Event Center is going to be quite a bit better than what people were accustomed to at the Kansas Expo Center. Yep. So, good work. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, John Armour, McCown Gordon. I'll just give a quick kind of status update as far as the financials. We track our kind of litmus test or gauge for contingency balances are how they relate to how much we're billed out. Our contingency balances are currently tracking pretty much right on with where our billing percentage is, which is a great indicator of how the project's doing financially. We've been able to incorporate approximately $400,000 in additional kind of add-on items that weren't originally part of the GMP, but as we evaluated balances and the contingencies, we realized we'd be able to incorporate them into the project. So one of the items was adding all new wireless access points into the Landon Arena, Expo Hall, and Domer Arena. So that greatly increases the capacity for Wi-Fi inside the facility. We were able to add several new RV pedestals, which will be a revenue generator down the road. So that's something that's a great benefit to Spectra and the county as far as return on investment. And then resinous flooring in the restrooms. After we renovated the restrooms, we kind of looked at them, and it's one of those issues where how far do you go, and decided that leaving the existing floor the way it was not didn't really make it look like the whole bathroom was renovated. So that was a decision we moved forward on, and it made a huge difference. And then we're able to add electrical overhead door operators for several of the new overhead. As we've done previously in the project, we'll continue to evaluate different balances of the contingency and reallocate as necessary or as available to keep trying to maximize the amount of scope that we can get incorporated into the project. So if you guys got any questions, we're always available. Overall, financially, it's been a great project.
I know that we always want to kind of hold our breath and be cautiously optimistic when it comes to finances, but if I was to hear you correctly, we have been able to stay on budget. We're actually finding some savings and being able to do more things than what we had originally anticipated from those savings. And so on time and under budget are always good news to report. So
yeah, typically something like an owner contingency is there to cover unknowns, and especially with a renovation, there's usually a lot of unknowns and a lot of existing conditions that ends up, or usually gets burned up on. So far, we've been lucky, that we haven't ran into a lot of those issues, and we've been able to use that comfortably towards added scope items. So it's worked out really well, and we've been very grateful for the way things have just unfolded.
great. Commissioner Rippon, any final questions?
None at this time.
Commissioner Mays, anything?
Nope, can't wait till it's done and we can sell the place out.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Before I let you go, Kellen from the Stormont Vale Event Center, anything to add or updates?
Yeah, so Kellen Seitz again, Spectra Venue Management, Stormont Vale Event Center. As we continue to work through the time of COVID, we have started producing content again. We reopened our facility to public use and the general public on July the 6th. We have started to find some additional opportunities for this coming year, for this current year. We have generated a couple of in-house event opportunities that we're going to be bringing to the public, events that we have created, we manage, and we produce. We've been working directly with Linda and Dusty from Health Department and Emergency Management team, as well as Dr. Pizzino on some of the process for those events. We have gotten our accreditation approval for a larger event that we will host on New Year's Eve. We're hoping that we'll see some calm in the storm, so to speak, and be able to produce that. But if not, we are expanding on our opportunities for 2021. We've gotten some new event content in addition to the events that we had to move that were displaced from the COVID pandemic. So 2021 is looking and shaping up to be a great year. You'll see a lot more of that communication in terms of events and on sales and announcements for 2021 in the coming months. but happy to report that things are going well and business activity is picking back up for this coming year.
I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad you've been able to find some events, and even more happy to know that we're planning for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything from the commissioners?
Next thing, under item 1, Business Continuity Aid Program, Greater Topeka Partnership.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jennifer Sauer, Deputy Financial Administrator for Shawnee County. On September 17th, the Shawnee County Commission approved the first allocation of the community-based portion of the CARES Act CRF money, including awarding funds to 2 grant programs for Shawnee County. The Greater Topeka Partnership was awarded a Small Business Continuity Grant Program, and Child Care Aware of Eastern Kansas was awarded a Sustainability Grant for child care businesses. Both of those programs have representatives here today and would like to give you a presentation on those grant programs. First up, I'd like to introduce Glenda Washington with Greater Topeka Partnership, who will present information on their Small Business Continuity Program.
Morning, Glenda.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, commissioners. Different venue, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nice to see you all. Well, I'm going to pop up this PowerPoint, if I can. There you go. There we go. There we are. So I want to share with you all what we're doing with this money that we received. First of all, I want to say thank you to the county for taking a look at this program because it's so tremendously needed in this community. So if you recall, when we went through knowing that COVID was a thing, everybody really got a little nervous about it because they didn't know what to do. So a lot of the businesses closed down with no plan of action. A lot of them lost so much money. And so it was our responsibility at the partnership to look at how we could assist those businesses in coming back online. Still, they had no plan, but they were coming back online some way. So overnight or, by the light of the moon, they decided, let me write a plan. And so what this money is going to help us do is help us take a jump start on that. It'll help us identify opportunities for these businesses to write a plan in advance, a continuity plan. How do I maintain my sanity as well as my clients as I go through another emergency like this, or a fire or a flood or a tornado. And so what we decided to do was submit an application to support those businesses. So we will have 60 businesses that were impacted by COVID-19 go through this plan. We'll have several specialized modules talking about banking, finance, HR, tech, insurance, and a lot of people didn't think about supply chain interruption. That was a big one. And so we want to talk a little bit about supply chain interruption. Eligibility, as you see, is complete the training, identify those sources of funding, money that you spent before, and submit those for reimbursement. But we are simply paying them to do their plan. We're reimbursing them to do their plan. We will also have on the end of that is marketing campaign, shop small, support local, buy local, or made in Topeka as well. And that's simply to push business too, because businesses haven't recovered yet. And so it's going to help us push business to those small businesses in the community. Funds will be expended by the end of the year. We know that we have to have all this money incurred by the December 30th, and so we'll be working toward that. So let me just break down what the contents of the program are. So phase 1 was develop a plan, criteria, create the application. We're pretty well done with phase 1, a pre and post survey. The pre-survey would ask them how they were impacted and some other questions, and post would say, okay, so now that you've gone through the program, do you think you're better prepared to face a pandemic or an emergency for your company? Phase 2 is for us to establish timelines for each of those individual areas. And we've been working on that last week to make sure that they have measurements in place, that we are recruiting businesses that can take full advantage of this program, and then we'll have an orientation to kind of go over the program with them. Again, phase 3 is to execute the program, and those are some of the trainings that we will have. Marketing, inventory control. FEMA and Homeland Security have worked with me before on this project, or a project similar to this. And I've got calls into FEMA and Homeland to help me execute this program as well. We got some really good partners across the community that have stepped up to the plate and said, I wouldn't mind helping you put this program together. So I'll be working with the insurance company, the insurance commissioner, hopefully. I got a call into him, some IT companies, and for the supply chain piece, I saw a lot of opportunity there, and looking at a couple of federal companies that have worked with through my associate Christie's program, PTAC program, and I'll bring them online as well. So phase 4 is the last phase, and we're going to be able to have the classes completed hopefully by mid-November. That is our goal date. The continuity plan, once we receive the continuity plan and proof it, and we'll have a group of people taking a look at the plan to make sure that it's solid, and then we'll hand it back out to them. We can disperse the fund and have the funds in their hand hopefully before Christmas. And so that is our goal on that. We noted that there needed to be criteria because a lot of people just will come and they're not eligible, and we didn't want to discourage anybody. So we put together this criteria just to make sure that they were eligible before they came to the door. Must be believe it or not, we get a lot of other counties who have businesses that float over to Shawnee County because they hear that we're taking such good care of our businesses. And so I get a lot of questions about, can I participate? So the first thing, you have to be located in Shawnee County. Must have 50 or less employers, or you can be a sole proprietor as well to take advantage of this program. You must be in business for at least a year. What I found was there were businesses that were 3 months, 5 months, 6 months in, and they weren't eligible for a lot of things. But we wanted to make sure that they were tested and that they were strong enough to go through this program. And so we said you must be in business for at least a year. Must be a for-profit business, must be a business in good standing and not have any outstanding state or federal taxes, no liens against your program, no outstanding judgment. And we're making sure that they don't double dip because the feds wanted us to make sure that if you've gone through EIDL, if you've gone through your PPP funds, that you don't double dip. And so we will have to make sure that they haven't gone through any of those programs and used it for example, if I went through, I used the EIDL loan and I used it for payroll or I used it for leasing, we cannot use that for the same purposes that you use the EIDL or the PPP. And so this will be different. I will look to make sure that they are not double dipping, and we don't want them to get in trouble, and we certainly we don't want the program to be in trouble. And then your business must have been interrupted, which every business that I've talked to in the last 6 months have been interrupted by COVID-19 pandemic. So I don't think that would be a problem. We know that tracking and reporting is critical. Did I skip? Yeah, so I wanted to tell you about the marketing program. The marketing program is going to be critical because we know that it's going to be around the holiday season. Businesses are so worried. We thought, well, we could do a shop small program, but that wouldn't cover all the other businesses. And so we could do a shop local program. That would leave a lot out. But if we do a shop small, shop local, and a made in Topeka, I think that covers just about everything. Shop small will place emphasis on retail, restaurants, and entertainment. Shop local will put emphasis on the service industry. A lot of times we don't talk about them at all. So shop local will put emphasis placed on the service industry, and made in Topeka, Shawnee County. Materials that have been made in the county, but they can be sold in the county, in the community, in the city, in the state, and even exported outside of the U.S. So we'll look at examples like art, steel, wine, glass, etc. So those are the things that we wanted to make sure that you knew that was in the marketing campaign. And then finally, the Business Continuity Aid Program is going to be critical to kind of duplicating this, because we believe that this is just a sort of a test program to do this again in the future. We want to make sure that all of our businesses, as they plan, they begin to think more than a business plan, but a continuity plan as well. And so as they plan, we want them to begin to absorb that we're going to get you. We're going to bring you back and make you do a continuity plan. So a program to be administered by the GTP, including we'll do the accounting, marketing, and management for the program. All the participants will be tracked electronically, so that if they register for the program, they will register electronically. We will make sure that, if you said you went through a program and we go back and we can't find you have gone and completed that program, we will record all the programs, and we'll have you go ahead and review that again before you can go to the next step, which would be writing your continuity plan. Close monitoring and monitoring of class attendees. We'll definitely do that, and then we'll provide you with a final report at the January meeting. So that's kind of where we are. We've kind of thought through everything, what if, and Betty's not here, but we were like thinking like Betty. It was a good thing. And so we thought that maybe we could think through everything and then close the books on this, and then bring this program to life in 2021.
Glenn, I know that we're in a tight timeline with our federal requirements. The businesses have to have the money in hand and expended by the end of this year.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do reimbursement. So what the businesses will give us their receipts from March till now, and we reimburse them for that. And that's the only way that we could ensure that they would have that money in hand.
Great. So, I just know that we've got some strict requirements, and so
Yes.
if we are a business and we want to participate,
Yes.
what should they be doing now?
So right now, what we're getting ready to do is we're getting ready to, if you're a business, we're getting ready to identify who wants to participate. All they have to do is fill out the application. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to pull anything together right now. Because what we want to do is provide the education and then provide the support for them to write that.
Should they be contacting the Greater Topeka
They
Partnership?
can contact me, of course. They can
Greater
contact
Topeka
me.
Partnership. I'm looking at my media folks,
Yes,
and they're getting it.
yes. Contact me at GTP, and I will make sure that whomever out there that would like to participate in the program, that they're eligible to participate, and that we accept them as a participant in this program. So I want to thank you again. It's just really so, I get kind of sentimental when we talk about supporting businesses, but this program is definitely needed. You can only imagine that 6 months, God forbid, something else happens, and our small businesses have already taken a hit. This is really going to take them to the next level, and they'll be ready for it when it comes again.
Well, I know the pandemic has hit a lot of businesses very hard, and if this can help any small business, any business in Shawnee County, we want to make sure they get the relief that they can so their business continues to operate. So Glenda,
Yes.
thank you for what you do, and
Thank you.
Again, we're very happy that we're able to form this partnership and do this in the community. And so, again, please contact the Greater Topeka Partnership if you are a business and you would fit these qualifications.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mays or Commissioner Rippon?
I have no questions for this time.
Yeah,
Thanks, Glenda.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next I would like to, let me close this down.
Number 4, child care aware of Eastern Kansas. You're fine.
Sorry. All right,
That's okay.
sorry, Jennifer Sauer again. So next, I'd like to introduce Revo Waiwadas. Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry. With Child Care Aware, who will present information on their sustainability grant for child care business programs.
Good morning, Reva.
Good morning. Let's see if I can get. Boy, this mouse has a mind of its own. Okay.
As you're getting this open, I know this is going to be a big program because we've got a lot of daycares in Shawnee County, and we've got to make sure that we're keeping our children safe.
Yes. So thank you for the opportunity to come this morning and share a little bit about what we hope to accomplish and what we will accomplish through this funding. You are absolutely right. There are 344 child care facilities located within Shawnee County that are licensed. This program is only for licensed child care. So that's family child care that works from home and family group care, as well as centers, preschools, and after-school programs. Our agency, ERC Resource and Referral, operating as Child Care Aware of Eastern Kansas, is licensed by the state of Kansas as a Child Care Resource and Referral agency. So our whole mission is around supporting children and families, making sure that families have access to high-quality child care options, and making sure that the child care programs out there are operating safely and taking good care of our kids. Our mission is supporting the healthy development of young children by improving access to high-quality child care options and educational resources for families and early childhood professionals. And again, we're part of a state network, so every county in Kansas has access to child care resource and referral services. And our agency, which is shown as Region 3 on this map, actually serves 33 counties, the child care facilities in 33 counties. And we also serve as the state's parent resource center. So any parent in the entire state of Kansas needing child care receives services through our Topeka office. We know how important this is, and I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of brain research because we could talk for hours about that, but what happens in the first few years of a child's life really lays the foundation for their later success. So continuity of care is critically important as we think about good outcomes for kids later on in life. The skills children learn in early childhood are the same skills that we need to function as adults. Things like language and teamwork and negotiation and ethics and good problem-solving skills. The foundation for all of that happens in early childhood. There are almost 155,000 children in the state of Kansas that live in homes where parents work, and so having access to childcare is critical so that parents can enter and stay in the workforce. We know that childcare is a huge piece of the infrastructure of our economy. This is on the radar, I think, of businesses and community leaders like you, like it has never been before. Families have really been juggling a lot over the last few months as they've tried to figure out how to make their work life, their family life, and the needs of their children all work together. And so this opportunity through the Shawnee County CARES funding will bring some support and stability to the child care in our county, helping them stay in business and also allowing those working parents to stay and be in the workforce. Our plan has 3 components. One is sustainability grants to child care businesses. The second component is some professional development around those business practices that will help them stay in business over the long haul. And then the third component is some work with families as they navigate child care. So I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about each one of these aspects. The biggest chunk of this funding, the biggest part of this plan, is sustainability grants to child care programs. We are partnering with Child Care Aware of Kansas out of Salina, our state network office, to implement these grants. They have some infrastructure in place that will really benefit us. It will make it a more seamless service, and so we have been working hard to get all of those behind-the-scenes things in place. We will be making grants to 344 Shawnee County child care programs. We expect to make a grant to every program out there that will accept the funding. We will probably have a couple that won't, but the goal here is to work really hard so that every program in our county knows about this opportunity, understands how it can help their child care business, and we will help them with technical assistance through that application process. The grants will be used for business expenses, helping bring stability and sustainability to these programs. Just like schools, childcare is facing some real financial challenges related to COVID. They are having to have children in smaller group sizes. They're having to have often lower enrollment to maintain social distancing, but they have to have more staff to take care of the children. And so the income has gone down and the expense has gone up. And so these grants are really intended to help them bridge that gap between the income that's coming into their program through parent fees and the actual expenses that they're incurring directly as a result of COVID. In addition to those grants, we are also doing some training for childcare programs. This training will all be taught virtually. There are actually 2 courses that we're offering. One is a 4-hour course called Sustaining Your Childcare Business in a COVID-19 Era. We will teach that class 3 times over the grant period and plan to impact at least 60 facilities through that opportunity. And then we'll also be doing taking care of the caregiver, because we know stress and burnout is really hard. We have caregivers that are stressed, we have children that are stressed, and we have families that are stressed. And so that effort also will reach another 60 providers. And those classes are already, the approval process is happening, and those classes will begin October 15th. So we are really moving things along. I should have also mentioned for the sustainability grants, the application for those is under final review today. We expect to have them posted on our website later today, and October 1 we'll begin accepting those applications. So again, we are in fast forward to get these programs on board and get that money out the door. And then the last piece of our plan is really focused on supporting parents. Parents searching for childcare have a daunting task ahead, and it's really been complicated by COVID. What we're experiencing through our work at the Parent Resource Center is that parents have lost childcare because they maybe took their children out of care and now they need care, and that program either isn't in operation or doesn't have an opening now. Their hours have often shifted. Maybe they were working full-time before, now they're working part-time. The program doesn't have an opening or doesn't enroll part-time children, so there's all kinds of complications that have come as a result of COVID. And so typically when a family contacts us needing assistance for childcare, they would give us information about their childcare needs, what hours they need care, what days they need care, the hours of their child, their ages of their child or children, and we would generate a referral search through our database and provide that family with a list of 20 or 25 childcare programs that meet that criteria. What the funding through the Shawnee County CARES Act will do, it will allow us to take some additional action on behalf of the family to ease the stress of this childcare search. So the first part of the search will happen just like it always does, but then we will offer any family in Shawnee County what we're calling an enhanced referral. So we, our staff, would take that list of 25 facilities and we would do the legwork on behalf of the family, contacting each one of those providers, explaining that we're working with a family that has a 3-year-old, they need care Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, these hours, verifying that the program actually has an opening for that child and those hours. So we're gonna take that list of 25 and hone it down for the family, and then provide them a list of maybe it's 7 or 8 or 10 programs that actually today have an opening for their child and is waiting for the family to contact them about scheduling an interview. We don't select programs for the families, we don't tell them what program to go to, but we're taking a really complicated childcare search that's been made even more complicated and messy by COVID, and just doing some of that legwork on behalf of the family. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, Riva, I want to leave this slide up so that our media partners can get that information, because I know that as a parent who had child care it can be a very scary and daunting task to find that child care, and so I'm glad that your referral is there. And especially in a pandemic when we're trying to get back to work and we're trying to get our businesses back on track and making sure that we have safe child care for our children and making sure that the CARES Act is getting out to help those daycare facilities. So thank you for everything that you're doing in the community.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I should have mentioned, and I know this was in the proposal, but studies that were done and research documents that were published both by the U.S. Chamber Foundation and also by Child Care Aware of America are predicting that nationally 50% of all child care facilities will not survive this pandemic. Now we're hoping, we're in the Midwest, we're hoping we will have a better outcome than that, but this funding can truly make a difference in shoring up our child care, because we know that without that child care capacity, the rest of the businesses out there can't function as they need to. So this was a critical moment in time for the child care industry, and we just thank you all for recognizing that and acknowledging that and playing such a vital role in helping address this need.
Thank you. Commissioner Mays?
Riva, with schools being in sort of a hybrid model or a virtual model right now, I know there have been a lot of like parent educational co-ops that have kind of popped up. Is that something that you guys are seeing?
Yes, we are seeing it. Those are not regulated by KDHE, so it doesn't fall in the category of a licensed child care facility. When a parent calls us needing that kind of care, we do have some licensed programs that have kind of stepped up or restructured to meet that, and we can certainly provide referrals to that. But often what we're seeing is a less formal system where parents are kind of getting together, and I think they call them pandemic pods. They're all kind of taking turns trying to help supervise that online learning experience. So we do always try to help parents problem solve and figure out what they can make work. Some parents have a lot more flexibility with their work hours and their work schedules and can manage a system like that, and others say, I have to go to work every day and I need childcare every day. And so wherever they are on that spectrum, our job is to try to help guide them and provide them information so they can make a good childcare choice that's going to work for their family. So many parents have said, I have pieced my childcare situation together over the last few months just to make things work, but I know that can't last over time. So I think what we're seeing right now is parents are acknowledging that they need a more stable and a more long-term solution for their child care, and we're hoping that we can play a part in both helping the parents but also helping these child care businesses have a more long-term business strategy and really think about what they need to stay in business, not just this month and next month, but for the long haul.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rippon, any questions?
No, just thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Riva. And please, I look forward to getting an update on how the child cares are doing and making sure that we're getting the money out to those that need it. Thank you.
We expect those first payments to go out the door October 15th.
Great.
So things are moving very fast on our end, and we just look forward to keeping you updated about the progress, not with just the numbers, but also with those success stories that we know we'll hear.
We love hearing that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Madam Clerk, our next item.
It's been an hour. Did y'all want to stand up?
Oh, I see Linda at the back, keeping us on track. We're still working, but we're standing. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are 5 items on the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon to approve the consent agenda as presented. I would just note that item number 4 is $780,000 from the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. That is for COVID-19 response and recovery efforts. And then also item number 5 is our contracts with the school districts. So motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
We have 2 voucher payments this morning. The first voucher is from September the 23rd. It is $874,077.26. The highlight of the voucher report really comes in 3 areas. The first is the Capers contribution of $350,737.10. The second is in an allocation of $132,210, and that went to Global Spectrum. And then finally, under building and maintenance, we have Senny and Company of $128,292.75, which is for renovations at the Hillcrest Community Center remodel, which, by the way, has a ribbon cutting on October the 5th. And so again, please do show up on October the 5th for that ribbon cutting. But that is out of the first voucher report. The second voucher report is from September the 25th for today, which is $117,077.09. That voucher report is the highlights out of the detention center, $119,254.87, which is primarily Aramark, food for the inmates at the jail. Equipment, $107,848.87, which is for the fingerprint machine at the Department of Corrections, the fixing the leak at the Rossville pool of $61,714.87, and then Smith Plumbing, which is $10,560, which was also fixing the pool at Rossville. Under the holding accounts with the state of Kansas, $178,006.82. And then finally, under our health administration for our employees, $440,534.49. I do not have any questions regarding either voucher report, and we move for their approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Public Works, number 1, public hearing and consider approval of resolution number 2020-52, declaring the necessity and advisability of enlarging Shawnee County Main Sewer District number 60 to include sanitary sewer district number 2.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Welch with Public Works Department. Before you have a plan to expand the sewer district 60, lateral district number 2 to serve some Stormont-Vale property on the south side of 29th Street on the north side of Aldersgate. Sewer district 60 is located on the north side of 29th Street. And basically, the Public Works Department recommends the approval of and creation of the district expansion. And we have a representative from the developer, the consultant for the landowner, and a representative for the landowner.
Yeah.
If you have any questions.
I don't know if the
Commissioner, you need to open the public hearing.
motion to open for public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook to open for public hearing, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. All right, now, is there a representative from the project that wants to speak just briefly on what we're doing?
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Sharp with Bartlett and West representing Stormont-Vale, and Keith Griffin with Stormont-Vale is here this morning also. As Mike indicated, this is the most feasible and economic way that we could provide sanitary sewer service to the new clinic that is scheduled to open next month there on the corner of the Aldersgate campus. Looked at a number of alternatives, including an ejector pumping station that would go to the private sewer system within Aldersgate that would then go to the Sherwood treatment plant. And this was the most feasible and took the wastewater directly to the public system. So it was the best for the public health and safety as well. So I can stand for any questions.
Just like parking lots aren't exciting, sewer systems are also not exciting, but it is exciting that we are having this expansion for health services at this location, so.
Yeah, people don't like to talk about sewers, but we all need them.
That might be the quote of the day. So, Commissioner Mays?
No, I don't have anything.
Commissioner Rippon, anything?
No?
I would move for approval and motion to close public hearing.
I'll second that, if there's nobody else that wants to speak.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing nothing. Motion made by the Commissioner Cook to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution. Second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item C, corrections. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-347-2020, amendment number 2 to contract C-277-2020 with KBS, Inc. to reduce the original agreement amount of the Department of Corrections COVID-19 Court Conference Room Area renovation work from $994,039 to $942,964, a cost savings of $51,075 realized in project oversight due to additional projects.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Phelps, Department of Corrections. This item was because when we first passed this agreement, we didn't know whether the second two were going to be fully funded with the CARES Act dollars. So they had an amount that would cover their costs, but then when we got the other two projects approved, then they had a reduced amount that they could operate from. So that's what this does. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Tim, I know that our timeline for final date of construction is December the 29th of 2020. Do we anticipate that being on track?
Absolutely. To make themselves more efficient, they've approved multiple layers of workers. I think we've approved background checks on almost 60 people. So they've got plenty of workers to be able to bring in if someone gets sick or there's some other event, just so they can make sure they get them all done on time.
And this is taking our former kitchen area and converting that to the multi-purpose area? Is that?
Yes, it's creating, I think, 11 or 12 separate meeting locations that could be used for private and quiet and properly operating locations for trials or hearings or other things that the courts want to do remotely.
And how would this impact our judicial system, and how does this help the jail?
Well, it helps the jail in two ways. One, it lets us be more efficient because we can have 2 or 3 officers managing multiple hearings at once because they can watch them all in progress rather than having to go to one location at a time. And second, it helps because security is always better if inmates don't leave the building. And this allows them to remain for the vast number of their hearings. They remain in our building so the public is safer.
Now, there are some hearings, though, that the inmate would need to be still transported for, and we're able to still do that.
Correct. We still have arrangements with the courts so that if there are any where the inmate needs to have witnesses present or they need to be present to testify, however that happens, has to be managed. We still have transports going on. It's just significantly reduced because of these remote options.
And this is getting the courts back on track with their backlog that they have from COVID as well?
Correct. For sentencings and for other pretrial hearings, they can do a lot more of those, and that frees them up to concentrate their locations more on developing trial strategies.
Commissioner Rippon or Commissioner Mays?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Tim, does having a construction project of this scope inside the jail affect your day-to-day operations in any way in terms of supervision of inmates?
Not in terms of supervision of inmates.
Do you have to supervise the construction crews?
Right. We have to make sure that their work area is completely walled off and secure so that their tools are not going to bleed into the operation. So we do that. We wall it off physically. And there's a little bit more logistics getting that many bodies into the building and making sure they're all screened properly and they're not letting any of their tools not be under control. So there's some logistic increases, but not that affect directly safety and security.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Commissioner Rippon, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Mays,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Again, I'm glad to hear that we're able to get this done. Efficiency and on time, and maybe it's also under budget. So, Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item D, Emergency Management. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 348-2020 with the Kansas Division of Emergency Management for grant funding, 80-20 split in an amount of $41,000 to procure the services of a contractor to implement Operation Fortitude, and approval of request to issue a request for proposal to hire a contractor to write, design, facilitate, and evaluate 5 tabletop exercises during the federal fiscal year 2021.
Good morning, Commissioners. Aaron Mahan with Emergency Management. Back in January, you approved us to apply for a grant through the Kansas Division of Emergency Management. What this is for is the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness program that we currently have in Shawnee County. Most of this is administered through not just this department, but also the local emergency planning committee, of which many first responders, different businesses, and representatives are in that group. We were recently notified that we were approved for that grant and awarded $41,000. A lot of this stems from the 2017 exercise, which was Operation Pegasus, and our commodity flow study of hazardous materials that come through Shawnee County on a daily basis. We now wish to hire a contractor to design 5 different tabletop exercises, which would test responders' best practices in order to respond to potential hazardous materials emergencies and materials that move through Shawnee County. So we would ask that you accept the contract through KDIM, and then allow us to put out a request for quotes for different contractors to identify one that can write these exercises for us.
Questions for Aaron?
I'll move to approve.
All second. Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item E, Facilities Maintenance. Number 1, consider authorization and execution to contract C 349-2020, change order number 1 to contract C 131-2020 for the courthouse main entrance project with Steady Construction to amend the construction price of $222,849 by an additional $695 to replace conduit and wiring to the step lights and exterior power outlets.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. This item is for a change order to do the conduit and the wiring that we found underneath the steps that after 55 years was pretty well rotted and no longer in decent service. We did get that replaced, and we're still well under budget on this project. So I ask for your approval. We'll answer any questions that you might have.
I'll move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Mays,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item E2, consider approval to issue a request for pricing in response to COVID-19 for the replacement of existing doorknob sets with ADA lever operators to allow doors to be opened without the need to grasp handle surfaces, utilizing CARES Act funding up to $200,000.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. To follow county purchasing procedures, we needed to move forward with this because the cost would probably be in excess of $10,000 and put that out for RFP. The paperwork on that is ready to go as soon as you approve it. We can get this thing out and see if we can find some better pricing.
Bill, I know that this is going to be part of our COVID response, but do we get an additional benefit by making this more ADA compliant for the courthouse?
Definitely we would. You know, doorknobs, I read some history once that doorknobs, we as a country at the Revolution. Europe always did like levers, and the British like levers, but in our revolutionary fervor, we said we wanted knobs, so we did knobs, even though they don't work as well. So we've been going to levers for about the last 30 years, and the courthouse, of course, was built in the early 60s, so we have a lot of knobs, and they're hard to operate. And you do have to grab the whole doggone thing to make it work. Where with a lever, you can even bump it with your forearm or elbow and push on through.
Any questions?
Bill, is this exclusively for the courthouse, or with the election office, or the North Annex?
Election office is already ADA compliant. There's a couple of spots out at the North Annex that I know of, but I'm sure we could utilize it just about anywhere within the county. But the courthouse is the primary area that I'm looking at.
And do we have to replace the doors entirely, or just the knobs?
At this point, it looks like we might just be able to get away with replacing the doors, or the knobs, I mean. The
Okay.
doors, which would save us substantially if we don't have to replace any doors.
All right. Thank you.
I would ask that we maybe reach out to the Parks and Recreation as well. I know that looking at ADA compliance with Parks and Rec has been a big undergoing and a project, and still working on getting that compliant, so.
Sure.
I'll move for approval of the RFP.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item F, Administrative Services. Number 1, consider approval of request to offer a candidate the position of accounting associate at step 7 at a salary of $56,380.88, including benefits, with funding from the audit finance budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jennifer Sauer, Deputy Financial Administrator. We are finally able to get back to full staff, if you guys would approve this for us. This candidate that we were able to find has experience in accounts payable. She's got vendor relations experience, reconciliations, payroll, and just general financial operations. So we were very lucky to find her out in the pool, and we are excited to bring her into Shawnee County, and we think she would be a great addition to our office. And her salary with compensation would be $56,380.38, and we are asking for your approval for that rate of pay, and we do have sufficient funds in our budget for this position.
Any questions?
Nope. I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item G, Treasurer. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill the vacant motor vehicle Office Manager 1, a pay grade 12, in the Motor Vehicle Division, and any subsequent positions which become vacant as a result of filling this position, with funding from the motor vehicle funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer, requesting to fill a vacant motor vehicle management position. I feel like we need this position at this time to accommodate the changes we've made with our interface to the customers that walk into our office, to accommodate that and to continue to refine that process because of COVID. I'm glad to answer any questions you have. This is funded 100% with motor vehicle funds.
I don't have any questions regarding this, but Larry, how are we doing in catching up on our COVID response?
Actually, we're doing quite well. As of last month, we were even on renewals. And that's not to say that we don't have renewals that are delinquent or that are still in the grace period, but what has happened is there's about 10% that are delinquent, but because of COVID, a lot of people are renewing early. So the effect is we are even as far as the number of people who have renewed. We still have a crunch coming at the middle part of November when all those folks that have run out of time have to come in. I figure that's about 2,000 people. On new motor vehicles, oddly enough, new motor vehicle sales is normal or even above normal this year. I don't know whether that's churn of existing vehicles and people are getting rid of vehicles because they can't afford them and we're just moving them around. But talking to the dealerships, sales has been really good. It must be that zero interest rate. We have about 5,000 vehicles that need to be registered, new vehicles. There is a progressive grace period that goes through the end of the year, so we'll see that through December as people who purchase vehicles in January through June and July have a grace period and they can defer that. They'll eventually come to us, but we should be caught up with that by the end of December.
Okay, so I know there's a lot of confusion about tags and renewals, but just to make sure that we're clear, if I have a car already, I'm still on the same schedule I always have been.
Well, sort of. Let me explain that. If you were a renewal prior to June 30th, the first half of the year, you have a grace period and you do not have to renew, or you will be forgiven penalties if you renew by November the 15th. For those who renewed from July 1st through the end of December, it's business as usual. You need to renew by the end of that month, so you had no grace period. When it comes to new vehicles, the grace period is if you purchased the vehicle in January, you had until the end of August. If you did purchased it in February, you had until the end of September, so on and so forth, to the end of December. So there is confusion. I do see a lot of expired tags out there. That's about that 10% that's waiting to the last day. Human nature will have that. But overall, we really are on schedule for renewals. I'm within a couple of hundred of 80,000 vehicles that should have been renewed. That's how close we are. So we've got people who are coming in early. We've got folks who are taking advantage, and it nets out to be even.
And Awesome Queue is still up and running and people can still use that?
Yes, we have Awesome Queue, but we also offer appointments for the annex, and we're getting ready to shift over to a new appointment system developed by Shawnee County's IT department. That should go online within the next couple of weeks. That will allow customers to have an option to get an appointment in the future date for either the courthouse or the annex. They can also, per Awesome Queue, get in line before they leave home, either via their phone or computer, or they can just walk in. So they have several options to make future appointments, get in line before you leave, or just show up and we'll accommodate. Our lines have been just about normal, actually, as far as wait times. There are several counties in the state that have 9 and 10 hour waits. We have not seen that in Shawnee County, and I credit my staff for doing a great job keeping those lines down, and we're going to continue to work with that. This particular position will help us eliminate the need to even come into the office if you have a new vehicle. It's a process that we initiated during COVID. We think it works really well. We're going to try to refine that, and we hope to get someday to the point where there really is no need to show up physically. You can do this online or by drop-off, and that'll help the customer.
I agree. I think that's a great customer service, and thank you for doing that. Any questions for Larry regarding this position?
None.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item H, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-350-2020 with John Estes to include instructing fitness, wellness programs, and workshops in accordance with the programmatic grant addendum to the Fit Lot Partnership Agreement at a cost of $20 per hour, utilizing grant funding.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. This is just an independent contract service agreement for our fitness program, our Fitbit program our FitLot program at Willow Park. It is funded through the grant that was sponsored by AARP. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Have any questions?
Nope, I'll move to approve.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Mays.
Hang on. I think Commissioner Rippon's got something.
Oh, Commissioner Rippon.
Yes, second.
Oh, second by Commissioner Rippon. All right, thank you. Our next item.
All in favor? They were all, okay.
We got a vote.
Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you for keeping me on track, Mr. Crowell.
Okay, that's all right. It just wasn't written down yet.
Hey.
Item H2, consider authorization and execution of contract C351-2020, amendment to contract C92-2020 with Ice Masters, Inc. for the removal of the ice machine at Hillcrest Community Center. Termination of contract C34-2018.
Again, Commissioners, Randy Luby. We're just amending the contract. We're removing an ice machine from Hillcrest Community Center. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Randy, are we planning on replacing the ice machine with a different one? Are we not going to offer ice at the Hillcrest Community Center? What's the plan?
We will not be offering ice. When we merged 8 years ago, they had ice machines in every one of the community centers, and we slowly have learned that we really don't need that, and it's just a monthly expense that we don't really need. So we're just removing it. We still have, I believe, 17 other ice machines throughout our areas. Most of those are seasonal. There are a few in our maintenance shops that are on a monthly contract.
Do we keep ice on hand in the case of emergencies with injuries or other events?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know that that's an important piece with that active community center, making sure that if there is an injury, we do have ice available for that.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Are there questions for Randy? Is there a motion?
Yep, I'll move to approve.
Motion
Second.
made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item H3, consider authorization and execution of contract C352-2020, amendment to number 2 to contract C298-2019 with Ozark Integrated Pest Service, Inc. to increase service locations at the Greater Overland Station of $80 per month, and the Health Department's Gage Park Field Office $40 per month with funding from the appropriate department operating budgets.
Again, Commissioners, Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation, we just like to add these 2 locations to our current contract. When we were going out for bid, we hadn't had the Overland Station involved, and since then we've started using the Gage Park office for the Health Department. So with that, I'd ask for your approval.
Any questions regarding the contract?
Nope, I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item H4, consider approval of request to award bid and enter into contract negotiations with Mammoth Sports Construction for the turf projects at the Lake Shawnee Girls Softball Complex and on the Bettis Family Sports Complex multi-use field to determine a guaranteed maximum price.
Good morning, Commissioners. If you recall, it was basically about this time last year that we asked your approval to go out and award the bid to PEC for the design build of this project. They went out and they solicited bids. The bids came back in the spring. However, COVID hit, and we just didn't feel comfortable of spending this kind of money during the 2020 year. So we've asked Mammoth if they would honor the bid to do this project for 2021, and they were kind enough to say yes on that. So we're asking your approval to accept the bid and then go into contract negotiations. We would be back to sign the contract in the very near future. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have. Let me explain the funding. I figured that might be a question. The funding has already been set aside for excess reserve funds of $350,355, capital outlay funds from 2019 of $600,000, and capital maintenance 3R funds of $139,559. And that the bid fell within our budget price of our estimated budget, so we were very pleased with that.
Randy, will this cover all the fields at Bettis and the girls softball, or, because I know that it is both?
Yes, it will be the multi-purpose field at Bettis for soccer and the 4 infields at the girls, along with backstops and netting for fields 3 and 4 at girls softball.
All right.
And our goal is to have enough fields to go after major tournaments, and over the years we found out we're losing tournaments because the weather is iffy and they don't want to come here. So with the turf fields, we're feeling very confident that we can get that girls back up where it needs to be.
Planning ahead, and I think this is a good time to get that planning ahead. Commissioner Mays, any questions?
Nope.
Commissioner Rippon, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item H5, consider approval of request to award the bid to Langford Enterprises, Inc. in the amount of $20,940 for the refurbishment to the Hillcrest Community Center gymnasium floor, with funding from a gift in cooperation with Shawnee, with Stormont Vale Health, Kansas Health Foundation, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Kansas State University, and authorization and execution of contract C-353-2020 for same.
Good morning, Commissioner John Boyd, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. I'm just seeking permission to approve this contract with this contractor to have the floors renovated over at Hillcrest Community Center. Be happy to answer any questions.
Is there going to be anything special put onto the floors? I mean,
there is proposed graphics. At this point, I need to have, once the contract's signed, we'll sit down and determine exactly the layout of the graphics. But yes, all the representative donors will have a graphic on the floor.
I don't know how I feel about that purple cat in the middle of Hillcrest.
You're out of order.
Rippon may think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Are there any questions regarding the contract? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move for approval.
Motion to approve by the loyal Wildcat Bill Rippon. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item I, Commission Number 1, consider appointment of a voting delegate and alternates to the KAC 2020 virtual conference event to be held October 13th and 14th.
The Kansas Association of Counties is holding a virtual conference this year as opposed to an in-person. Part of the Kansas Association of Counties conference are items that we would vote on representing the county when it comes to positions that are presented to the legislature, as well as for items that are of nature for this association. I would note that the delegate is Commissioner Rippon, with the first alternate being our County Councilor Jim Crowell. Is there any further discussion? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item I2, acknowledge receipt of the resignation of Brenda Mills from the Juvenile Corrections Advisory Board effective September 30th, 2020, and consider appointment of Colin Thomasette to the Juvenile Corrections Advisory Board to fill a term ending June 30, 2022.
I would note that Ms. Mills has submitted her letter of resignation from the Juvenile Corrections Advisory Board. I want to thank her for her service. I would also note that we do have an applicant and designee. If Mr. Thompson, you want to come on up, and Mr. Phelps, you want to introduce him?
Good morning again, Commissioners. Tim Phelps, Department of Corrections, is part of the management of the juvenile ISP operation. We have to have by statute an advisory board, and we have a very active juvenile corrections advisory board, and they come from all the different stakeholders in the community that deal with children that are in various forms of crisis, whether they are children in need of care or they're children in the justice system. And one of the members was Brenda Mills from the Family Service and Guidance Center that represented mental health matters on behalf of children. And I'd like to introduce Colin Thomasette, who is going to be her replacement after 18 years of service. Colin, you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Commissioners, good to see you both today. Apologize not to see Commissioner Rippon here, but would appreciate your support in being appointed to replace Brenda Mills. I believe you have my abbreviated resume and letter of interest. If you do have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Really looking forward to serving in this capacity, so absolutely would appreciate your support.
Mr. Thomas said, I know that you have a very great background and it looks very qualified for this position. You're currently employed as the Chief Operating Officer. Is that correct?
That's correct. Chief Operating Officer for Family Service and Guidance Center.
Okay. And I think that's going to be a kind of a crucial part to have that connection from the Family Service and Guidance to the Juvenile Corrections Board. And so thank you for your willingness to serve. Are there any questions for Mr. Thomas?
Yep, thank you. I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head or member of the public to address the commission on any item. All right. Commissioner Rippon, anything from your end?
Nothing other than great victory for the Cats.
It was.
I suppose getting a Power Cat symbol on the Hillcrest floor is a great victory for K-State. Commissioner Mays?
No, I don't have anything.
I would note that there is a public meeting that will be held at the Bettis Sports Center on Wednesday from 6 to 7:30. If there are questions the public has regarding 29th Street and our construction, our timeline, so any member of the public who has any questions regarding 29th Street and how it's doing, or the crossings, please come out to the Bettis Sports Center on Wednesday from 6 to 7:30. I don't have anything additional. Is there a need for an executive session? Seeing none, we are adjourned.